Hey everyone, welcome back to Topher Drives, where today we are downtown Ann Arbor with the cheapest Lexus you can buy in 2025. This is the Lexus UX 300H, which for the 2025 model year gets a bit of an up badge. This has always been the 250 in hybrid form, but it is now the 300, the same number pattern as my 2003 IS 300. So this is a bit weird that a little hybrid hatchback thing is now called a 300 in the year 2025, but here we are. Now this up badge is for good reason. This new UX now has Toyota's 5th generation hybrid system, which means we got a bit of a power bump for the 25 model year. This now makes, quote, up to 196 horsepower and some amount of torque. Toyota never releases an actual combined torque figure for vehicles with this 5th gen hybrid system, but what I can tell you is that the naturally aspirated 2-liter 4-cylinder that we have up front here makes 139 pound-feet of torque. So the combined number is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 200. A couple of other changes for 2025. You'll have noticed the copper crest color adorning the exterior of this UX, which really has just sort of looked the same since it came out in 2019, but that's okay. Copper Crest is this new sort of pink penny color that Toyota is putting on, or sorry, I should say Lexus is putting on just about everything. We had it on our RX 500H press car, and most recently the LC 500 convertible, which was copper crest with a blue interior. That was quite the spec. This one's a little bit more tame. We just have a black interior in this, but otherwise, on the outside, not much has changed, if anything, since 2019. Keen-eyed viewers will have noticed the white F-Sport badges here on the fenders. That tells you that this is the F-Sport handling. So F-Sport appearance and AVS, adaptive variable suspension. So we have adaptive dampers in this car, which the first couple of these that I drove, I thought it was quite silly, but I feel like I kind of understand it now because these do make for quite a pleasant experience whilst driving around town, going over potholes and things in comfort mode. These are properly cozy. For wheels and tires today, we of course have an upgraded wheel. For the F-Sport, we're on a Bridgestone Turanza. These are a 225/50 RF. 225/50 RF18. I had to go to the back because I couldn't find the numbers on that one. But this is a squared setup. And I think these wheels look quite nice. And also the color-matched cladding bits there make this look a bit more like a hatchback than an SUV, even though this is technically classified like a subcompact SUV. It is basically a Lexus Prius. Think Lexus CT back when they used to make that stylish little hatchback. This is kind of what replaced it in a way, because in modern times, this does share the GAC platform with the new Prius and the Corolla. So this is basically a $10,000 more expensive, slightly larger Toyota Prius. So this particular UX 300H is $48,000. So we have quite a few options and dealer accessories and things that we'll put in the description for you. And I have many city noises going on today, so we'll try and make this walk around quick to get you into this quiet interior. But the UX itself for 2025 starts at $38,000. So this F-Sport handling front-wheel drive is about $10,000 more than the base car. Lexus will sell you either front-wheel drive like this car or all-wheel drive in any trims, and there are quite a few trims. So you really are able to pick your poison here with the UX. F-Sport handling gets us this black roof as well, and a moon roof. And some fancy aluminum pedals inside. We'll put a shot of that right now because usually the POV doesn't pick up the pedals super well, so we'll show you that. All right, let's start our walk around and start in the back, where for 25 we get a power liftgate. Check that out. Quite a high load surface. There's not really any other way to say it. You're going to be lifting things up in to this Lexus UX. Underneath the floor we get a little bit of extra storage, but primarily this is all just sort of like toolkit stuff, and then I imagine some of the packaging in here does sort of depend on that battery, which is under the back seat though. So I don't know how they've sort of like done the logic for the packaging in the back here, but you don't really have a ton of room. I suppose if you're carrying things that aren't super tall, you're able to accomplish that. But if we go ahead and fold these seats down, which promptly just run into the front seats. So with that back seat folded down there, You can see not perfectly flat, and I would say, geez, probably about the same room as a Honda Civic, maybe even less. Let's shut this, let's check out the back seat. Properly quiet in here. Back seat, it's snug. You can see sat behind myself here at 5'11". My knees are pressed into the back of the driver's seat. But we do have this very nice New Lux black leather style material in here. We've got a fold down center armrest with some cup holders, 2 USB-C charging ports there. We've got our own vents here. We don't have a climate control panel, but can at least aim the air at you. Only 1 seat back pocket, and that's kind of it. You don't really get a ton in this back seat, I suspect, because Lexus assumes that buyers of the UX aren't actually going to be using the back seat. So maybe this is more of just like a convenience little parcel shelf thing. Up front, couple of changes. We'll get to those in a second, but I do want to show you this 2-liter 4-cylinder that we have under the hood. You really just never know what you're going to get when you film downtown. I mean, all sorts of different sounds, noises rather. But that's part of the fun. It's part of the real world thing here on the Topher Drives channel. Now, you don't get hood struts, and I know some people, I know this is sort of like a controversial thing. Okay. And this is the same as my 2003 IS300, and they should have learned in 2003 that this doesn't work. They all break eventually. So I don't know why they're still using this design. Anyway, here is our 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. Again, combined power output with this and the electric motors, 196 horsepower. Now the Gen 5 hybrid system does have... The Gen 5 hybrid system has a new lighter battery, so this whole system is a bit more efficient than the outgoing one that you would have found in the Lexus UX 250h. And speaking of the real world, we haven't even talked about what we're doing today. I assumed you guys could assume, since we are downtown. We're going to be running a real world commute on this UX hybrid. Usually when I get a small little hybrid hatchback like this, I like to put it in a situation that it would actually be in, coming from the office, going back home, trying to be as efficient as possible. Now the EPA rates this at 45 MPG city, 41 highway, 43 combined. So we're going to be aiming for that 43 MPG number today. Wind this down the parking structure, take it through the city, take it onto the highway, and then we will wrap up and see what this thing is all about. But before I break my neck on this ultra slippery, freshly painted top level of the parking structure, let's jump in and go for a drive. Now we have more of this New Lux here on the door panels and 3 memory seat settings, which is peculiar. Usually cars only have 2, and this is actually quite impressive for a car that has a mostly unusable back seat to have 3 memory seat settings. Anyway, we have these really nice F-Sport exclusive New Lux seats. We've got this red stitching and kind of this red under the perforation. Somewhat matches the copper crest exterior. Honestly, I've been finding that the copper crest doesn't really match any of Lexus interior choices. You kind of just have to go with like a solid black, but this is, I think, your only choice if you get copper crest. So this is, hopefully you like the black with the red stitching. There are our aluminum pedals that we get in the F-Sport. We have these illuminated door sills. These are a dealer accessory. Ready for silence. Very well insulated cabin here in this UX 300. And even though we do have what I assume is quite a lot of sound insulation, sound deadening, this does still weigh under 3,500 pounds. It's 3,455. So it's still like normal hatchback weight. All right, let's go ahead and fire this up. Where we can see the first change in this interior that I don't really like. One of the coolest things about the UX is that you got the LFA style gauge cluster, or the IS300 gauge cluster, where it had that physical pod in the middle that you'd press this button and it would move to the side. You know, it was a little bit of a gimmick, but it was something very cool. Well, they've taken that away in favor of this new digital gauge cluster, which in its defense, you can of course customize this and have all sorts of different things. But man, it was so cool to have that moving cluster. Additionally, they've taken away the actual shifter and they've replaced it with the shift by wire, which is what you see in the LC500, or I mean pretty much anything, but I think the LC500 was the first car that had this shifter. And it just means that this looks a bit weird now, because obviously this space was cut out for a regular shifter that stuck up a bit higher, had the leather shift boot and things. So this shift by wire shifter just sort of looks like a big vessel floating in a mass ocean of, what is this, plastic and aluminum trim? It's a bit strange. We've got auto settings for our heated seats, heated steering wheel. We've got ventilated seats as well. We've got a wireless charger. That is an option. We've got some cup holders here. We have an armrest that opens both ways. Convenient for Barb if you've got her in the passenger seat. And since most of this interior has been the same since 2019, it means we still have lots of buttons. I love that this doesn't have the stupid haptic touch things that you have to look at the head-up display for, which this does have a head-up display, as you can see, but it's simply to tell you the speed, and that's about it. We've got a physical climate control panel here, nice vent placement in this UX. We've got the ASC, which we'll make sure to show you when we hit the sporty section. That's the active sound control, and just pipes in what I think is the most hilarious fake sound on the new car market. But anyway, we could sit and talk for ages on the top of the structure. Why don't we start our drive and get this thing out of the city? Into reverse, you can see we only get a reversing camera, no 360 cam on this UX. I guess the reverse sound is kind of drowned out by whatever sort of construction they're doing there, but we do get leading lines. The camera is okay quality. Into drive, that will kill the camera automatically. And off we go in pure silence. Let's avoid that piece of wood. There we go. Obviously, as we know, Toyota's kind of like, if you were a new car company and you wanted to make a hybrid, you'd probably go to Toyota and ask how to do it. They've kind of pioneered this. They've been doing it for so long. I mean, think about how long the Prius has existed. Ah! What is that? You don't know a jump scare until you come around a corner and there's a BMW iX showing you its teeth. Or nostrils, whatever you want to call that. Right. What was I saying? Oh, Toyota knows how to make a hybrid system. So obviously our transitions from EV to ICE are just about seamless. This is a very impressively smooth system, and with this being the Gen 5, obviously... Geez, I'm just having to concentrate, trying not to hit anybody leaving the structure. Obviously, it's quite good. I mean, we drove this in the Prius. It was fine. We noticed that the 2-liter 4-cylinder was a bit loud, a bit grainy, but this has more sound deadening. It's a Lexus, so we'll have to see how that engine is once we get out onto the road. Steering weight is pretty much the same as any other Lexus. Honestly, it feels like it might have a little bit more weight to it than other Lexus models. I think they're probably trying to employ a bit of sportiness to this F-Sport handling package, maybe adding a bit of weight to this steering, but it is quite silky, kind of like pulling taffy, like I like to say about other Lexus vehicles. So that is all good here, no complaints. Man, this is a chaos situation here in the parking structure today. Hey, Prius gang. That's the generation of Prius that I learned to drive on. All right, let's check out maneuverability here as we take the shortcut out of the structure. One nice thing about the UX being technically an SUV is ground clearance, which means you can hit a speed bump, like so. You can go down these steep surfaces and not have to worry about ripping the front bumper off. So the convenience of that little bit of added ground clearance is nice, and honestly, you still have the style because we have colored cladding. So how about that?
Please insert your ticket with the barcode facing up, or scan your monthly card.
There we go.
Thank you for your business. Please drive safely.
We're also at a good height to pay a toll or pay a parking garage. I really think the convenience of this car is really what would sell it. You have the convenience of just a regular Toyota hybrid, but the adornments of a Lexus. You are able to lock this into EV mode. If you're, say, leaving your neighborhood and you don't want to have the 2-liter come to life, of course, this locks you out over a certain speed, but it's nice to have. I'm going to turn my heated seat off. It is getting quite toasty. Progressive feel with all of the inputs. I mean, brake pedal is nice, accelerator is nice. Toyota has this calibrated absolutely beautifully. The Lexus UX has always been a bit of a weird one for me. It was one that I never really understood. And I think that's kind of what a lot of people think, because Toyota doesn't really sell many of these. I was looking at the sales figures and it's really not a ton. It was under 20,000 of them a year. So they're a little bit of a niche car, which makes sense. So far on the reset fuel economy, we're doing 28.8 MPG. I suspect that will get better as we try to keep this thing in its EV mode. Oh my goodness! F-Sport handling dampers trying their best to soak that one up, but that was just a massive divot in the road. We've got drive modes up here, kind of like the Shrek ears, like you'd see on the LC500. You could put this into Sport or Sport Plus. That will stiffen up those dampers. I've just been leaving this in normal all week, honestly. Drive modes, I don't know that they're super necessary, but they make a little bit more sense in this particular trim because you do have the AVS dampers. Lawn crew can sense that Tedward was in town. The only thing that makes this a little bit tough is the fact that the Prius exists. Now, it's a little bit of a hard sell, I think, to spend an extra 10 grand from trim to trim from Prius to Lexus UX. I mean, you get a little bit more room in the back, you get a little bit more room in the trunk. So what's it like actually sitting in the UX 300H? Well, I've got quite a cozy seat with lots of adjustability. That lumbar comes out with such aggression. My goodness, that is satisfying. You've got good visibility out of the sides. I can see out of the back just fine. The cabin itself is quite open. I mean, that's one advantage over the Prius for sure, is you don't feel cramped. You don't feel like you're in a space pod. This does feel, ooh, nice Land Cruiser. This does feel a bit bigger on the inside than it actually is on the outside. It's almost like wagon dimensions, like a small wagon, or sort of like a Kia Niro as that one goes by. It's sort of like long and skinny. I think dimensionally these days, there aren't a ton of cars that are like this. Straight out of EV mode immediately. CVT tuning in this is nice. It is pretty quiet in here, though. The one thing I will say is that you do still hear bits and pieces of this 2-liter 4-cylinder. Now, Honda's setup is definitely quieter. The 2-motor hybrid system and the naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that they have in those cars, the CR-V, the Civic Hybrid, etc. But I think Toyota just likes to play it safe. You know, they have this pretty old 2-liter 4-cylinder that's just been working for years and years, and they're thinking, why change it? And I understand that. I mean, they're trying to preserve this legacy of reliability with some of their cars. Obviously, they've made some questionable choices for the Tacoma and the 4Runner and the Tundra and the Sequoia and some of their trucks that now have turbos. But cars like this that are just sort of like unapologetically Toyota do still employ the formula that they've been using for years. And I respect that. I mean, you really can't blame them. So you kind of just have to get over the little bit of noise that you have when you step on the accelerator, which we haven't tested out today because we're trying to get good fuel economy. We're up to 35, 36 into EV mode. Let's try locking it in and see how long it lets me do it. I've got this gauge pod over here set to display my battery charge level, so you can see we've got about 3/4 of a charge. This is the sort of driving that this car likes. This is what makes it efficient. Just sort of like very slow in town, traffic-y. Kicked me out of EV mode. Okay, I think 25 miles an hour is your max with that. Is this lane still shut? It's not. Oh, glory. NVH in here? At 40 miles an hour, pretty dang good. I mean, this is a quiet car overall, as we saw on the roof of the parking structure with whatever sort of drilling they were doing. As soon as we got in and shut the door, it was pure bliss. This car is built in Japan. Build quality feels fantastic. There are no squeaks, there are no rattles in here. And this is kind of a high mile car. This has got almost 11,000 miles. And for a press car, that's a lot. I mean, I don't know if you guys realize what these cars go through. I always laugh when I get a comment of someone that's like, oh, you were so hard on that car. You have no idea what these cars see. Even I don't know. I mean, I'm just assuming that this car has seen some things. So to have almost 11,000 miles and to still feel nice, I mean, there's probably 100 different journalists have driven this car with their greasy hands and things. And the steering wheel's a little bit shiny, but other materials seem to be holding up just fine. This 12.3-inch infotainment screen is nice. This is Toyota's just sort of regular Google-based system that we see in just about everything these days. Actually, I think it is everything. I feel like they've just revised like their last couple of cars that needed this new infotainment. Also, you can see pre-collision. Thought I was going to have a crash, would have applied the brakes eventually. We've got this menu here. It's how you reset your fuel economy and stuff. But I appreciate the convenience of the wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. I mean, I've never really had any issue with this screen. Usually just have to bring it up for a couple of seconds, even though it's the same in every Toyota car. Love this climate control panel. The only thing I will say is I cannot for the life of me figure out how to sync both sides. I don't know if you click, even if you click auto, it doesn't do it. So I don't know how, because there's no climate menu, is there? No idea. It's like one of those old BMWs where you have to just control both knobs at the same time. But there's no button that says sync. So maybe I'm just being stupid. Someone in the comments will be sure to let me know. Oh, hybrid brother, check that out. First gen Insight. Efficiency is good. All right, let's get this UX 300H onto the highway. Let's go sport, stiffen up these dampers. It's going to be a Camry, a bit of a buzzkill, but good for our fuel economy, I suppose. Put this back into normal. Does change the gauge cluster display depending on which drive mode you are in. This is the fuel economy friendly merging technique, I suppose. 57 miles an hour. All right, I should be fair to this, honestly. The four-cylinder in this is not nearly as loud as it is in a Corolla Hybrid or a Prius. They have done a good job with the sound deadening in this, quieting this down, making this feel more luxurious. And I think that's important because you have to have some kind of an incentive for people to buy a UX over a Toyota counterpart, especially when it's about $10,000 more expensive. And taking this same Gen 5 hybrid system that's in those Toyotas, making it seem kind of an echelon above, is good. I think that they've kind of simulated that enough here with this. We are absolutely killing the fuel economy right now being on the highway. This is a city car. That's what it likes the most. That's where it's happiest. The cool thing about this too is that you're able to have it in front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. They don't force you to have all-wheel drive. Even in the higher trims, this being the top trim, the F-Sport handling, this one's front-wheel drive. They don't make you have all-wheel. It's very, very cool that you're able to make that choice. They don't lock you into something based off of a trim. I hate when companies do that. Also, dynamically, this car is really nice too. It's kind of fun to drive. Take it around a cloverleaf. I mean, it is small. It's a small car at the end of the day, so it's fun to kind of mob around. Braking while merging, never a good sign. It's okay, we'll just draft off of him. This car isn't terribly slow. Toyota claims a 8-second flat, 0 to 60. The all-wheel drive car is actually faster, which was a little bit confusing at first, but it has an additional electric motor in the back, so it's kind of got that instantaneous torque off the line. And it's only faster by 0.1 of a second to 60. But Toyota's weird about their, like, number game. Like, they don't release different power numbers for front-wheel drive versus all-wheel drive. They're all just max 196 horsepower. So I wonder if maybe this has a little bit less power. I don't know. Anyway, here we are on the highway. What's it like? Well, it's quiet. The ride quality is fantastic here. I'm really impressed with these adaptive dampers here. I've got the full suite of the Lexus Safety Sense. This is standard on every trim for 2025. Got your steering assist, your lane tracing, whatever I think that's what they call it, lane trace. So this will keep you between the lines. Does a great job in doing so. We've got this car just in time for the Lexus December to Remember sales event. Have you guys seen the new commercial with the LS400? I was very excited when the commercial came on. I said, oh, nice, an LS400. And then they ruined it with that stupid CGI SC400. Very clearly not a real car. And it's quite confusing because I went to Plano, Texas to the Lexus Heritage Museum, the Toyota and Lexus Heritage Museum, and they had an actual SC400 in there. Why couldn't they just use that in the commercial? Why'd they have to put a fake one? Very strange. Anyway, this car is so cozy. I mean, even ergonomically in here, seating position is great. You've got good elbow comfiness on the left. On the right-hand side, the center console is quite hard. So that's not super comfortable, but you can find another way, I suppose, to rest your right arm. Love the steering wheel. It's kind of the perfect size and thickness, very soft leather. You've even got paddle shifters back here to control your CVT. I think it's like 6 simulated gears that you have here. So we'll wrap this commute as soon as we get off the highway. We may actually manage 40 MPG. It's looking like we're going to do it. For this being a mostly highway drive, I am quite impressed with this system. I think this car would be great for somebody that may want a Prius, but is maybe a little bit older and would have trouble kind of getting in and out of that and fitting in that cramped interior. If you still want to be efficient yet comfortable yet small, here you go, Lexus UX. The car that has kind of existed in the shadows since 2019. I think it's making a little bit more sense in the 2025 model year when people are wanting some of these smaller cars. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if sales figures made a little bit of a bounce back here with the UX. I suppose we'll see. Curious to hear what you guys think. Let's jump over to the right. We're going to do a quick little performance loop, because why not? Can we see 40 MPG? Ah, there it is, 40.5. Ending out here. If you know how to drive a hybrid properly, I mean, you can really just hypermile these things and get some pretty crazy numbers for your fuel economy. Okay, let's put this into Sport Plus. That will give us an RPM gauge on the left-hand side. It'll raise the revs on the CVT, and you can even bump your little shift-by-wire shifter down, put this into S, and use these paddle shifters, which really just kind of change the pitch of the engine. When you're on throttle, they do absolutely nothing at all. But we'll play with them here. Turn on our ASC. Ending out our fuel economy there at 41.5. Obviously, we're about to spoil it right now. You can hear those simulated gear changes. So funny. I'm actually cringing right now because I was so proud of that 41.5 MPG figure, and now I've gone and spoiled it. Can we hypermile and still take fast corners? I think that's what we should try to do. And this is going to sound hilarious, but this is part of the reason I love driving hybrids, because it's almost kind of like a game. You try to see how high you can get that average MPG. And Tedward and I have talked about this, on how kind of like the enthusiast spectrum of hybrids is like the hypermiling thing. Like you try to play this game with yourself, and it's actually quite fun. All right, let's do this corner. We're going to do this in Sport Plus because I want my sport dampers, but we're going to bring this in. We're in EV mode. Quite a lot of understeer there. ASC playing us out. It sounds like an old racing simulator, like an arcade game that you'd play that just kind of had a generic engine noise. Oh man. This car still has some of its fun little quirks. And I really do like that about it, honestly. I think this car has some charm to it. Let's put this back into normal. Somehow, I've gone this entire video and haven't talked about the sound system. Now, there's no Mark Levinson option available on the UX, but you do have this upgraded 10-speaker system when you get the F-Sport handling. So why don't we give you a quick demo of that right now. We'll do a quick little extended loop here, and we'll show you what that's like. Honestly, pretty good. Now, if there's one thing about Lexus, they're not going to skimp on a sound system. Even in the base cars, and even if it's not branded, it's still good. Even going back to my 98 GS400, my 03 IS300, both have really good sound systems. And in 2025, they're keeping that alive. This 10-speaker is good. I think this is an upgrade. I think the base is a 6-speaker, which I haven't heard. But this is good. It's got good power. It's got good highs. It's not all blown out. Quite happy with that, in the same way that I'm happy with this car. I mean, really not much to complain about. The only thing I will say is it is a bit expensive. This one especially being $48,000. I mean, you have to consider if that's worth it to you. There are Toyota counterparts that exist for quite a bit less if you're willing to kind of just give up the glitzy sort of nature, the soft new lux, the soft leather heated steering wheel, the good sound system even when it's unbranded, things, a little bit more room, some more airiness in this cabin. But overall, if this is the car you got to have, look at that. We did 39.1 MPG on today's trip, even with that little performance section. But this is nice also. I think if you're cross-shopping other Lexus vehicles, like if you're considering an NX or an RX, maybe this would make more sense. Maybe you don't need all of that room. And it's nice that they still make this little guy as their entry-level car, starting at only 38 grand. So there you go. Again, curious to hear what you guys think in the comments, but that's going to do it for us today on our first ever Lexus UX video on Topher Drives. Hope you guys enjoyed. And again, if I left anything out, please let me know in the comments, but that will do it. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.